Iconic Super Bowl ads like this
Mr. White!
Jesse.
Everyone's gonna want to taste.
7 orcs.
aren't allowed to air live over Canadian broadcast. But for a time they were, but then they were banned again, so what happened? Now, Super Bowl ads are a big deal. The commercials and halftime shows are the only reason why some people say they even watch the game.
These ads in American television are sort of almost once in a lifetime, and they are usually to be talked about the next day. So they're almost a global event.
And these ads get huge exposure. Around 123 million people watched last year's game in the US, along with about 19 million people in Canada. And because of that, these commercial slots aren't cheap. In the US, 30-second spots this year are reportedly going for a record $8 million a piece. But Canadians can't watch these ads. That's because of criteria set out by the CRTC. It mandates something known as SimSub. This lets Canadian broadcasters substitute US feeds with Canadian ones, so that broadcasters in Canada can air their own commercials. And so this lets them charge for ad space, which is meant to help fund Canadian content. So that's why during the Super Bowl, Canadian broadcasters swap out those flashy US ads with Canadian ones instead. And they can charge an even higher Super Bowl fee and rake in more money for the Canadian market. But in 2013, viewers complained to the CRTC. They said they wanted to see the original US Super Bowl ads and not the Canadian ones. So in 2016, the CRTC relaxed SimSub regulations. It agreed that commercials were an integral part of the game, and Canadians were finally able to watch the US Super Bowl commercials.
I think there was something interesting about the liveness of the Super Bowl and the ability for people to take part in it as it was happening and to see the ads like as they actually aired. Just fewer and fewer avenues for us to have these kind of massive collective live experiences, right?
But this only lasted until 2019. Bell Media, which owns the Canadian broadcasting rights, took the CRTC to court, saying they lost millions of dollars of revenue from Canadian advertisers. They also claimed that the CRTC overstepped its mandate. And then in 2019, the suit reached the Canadian Supreme Court. The court ruled in Bell Media's favor and said that the CRTC went beyond its power to make its original decision. And so that's how we're back here, with no US Super Bowl ads in the Canadian broadcast, unless you watch it over a US feed or decide to stream it later online, which some might argue isn't such a big deal anymore.
For consumers, the need to consume instantaneously has fallen. The very next day, they'll be on YouTube. They could be watched by millions of people on YouTube or on TikTok, your Facebook, your Instagram. That immediacy has disappeared.